Welcome to the ride with Wild Wayne Cartwright, an exciting thrill ride through the wonderful world of HBCU athletics. Before our trip begins, let's set a few ground rules. First, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Second, hit the like button. Third, please be sure to tell someone else about this show. Now that we've got these things out of the way, it's time for our journey to begin. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your ride.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the ride. We have a pretty good show for you tonight. It was a very busy Saturday. So let's just get started with some of the details. All right. So first off, in Daytona Beach, Florida, Alabama State, they got out to a 26-7 lead, 13-7 at halftime. I had said kind of a little bit earlier in the week that Alabama State shouldn't be afraid to win ugly. They couldn't throw the ball really too much to speak of during the game, but they didn't have to because they ran for 311 yards. Holtzclaw had 120 yards of that. And also forced in three crucial Bethune-Cookman turnovers. Cam Ransom, he tried. He was valiant. When they trailed 26-7 with 11 minutes left in the game, he led them on an attempted comeback. But their comeback fell short as they were stopped on downs in the final minute. And Alabama State, they get on the board in the SWAC, 26-21. Alabama State next week, they have their homecoming matchup as they welcome the FAMU Rattlers to town. Bethune-Cookman 0-5 after two straight disappointing losses. They are on a bye week. In Valley, shout out to Valley, Alcorn 42-21 over those Delta Devils on their brand new turf. Alcorn in this game, again, passing offense really wasn't there. But despite the fact that they didn't really have their passing offense together, they took advantage of 5 turnovers. That's right, 4 interceptions thrown by 2 quarterbacks, 3 by Sisk, 1 by Williams. And they also forced a fumble and a safety. Shout out to Jacorian Sewell, 12 rushes, 164 yards, and a touchdown. Alcorn, they stem the tide. They get on the board with a very much needed win, 42-21 for Alcorn. Next matchup, they will take on, we'll talk about it later. All right, here we go. Jackson State. A lot of people, they had something to say about this matchup. A lot of people thought that Texas Southern potentially could knock these guys off. Texas Southern, they were coming in with their vaunted rushing attack. Well, that vaunted rushing attack was held to only 108 yards rushing. And a lot of that rushing happened in garbage time. All right. Jacoby and Morgan. People were wondering, who's going to be the quarterback? Is it McCoy? Is it Morgan? It was Jacoby and Morgan, and he was excellent in the game. 185 yards passing, 101 yards rushing, 4 total touchdowns, including this one.
You're right, with that TSU defense looking to come up with a big stop, but a big hole instead for Jacoby and Morgan. He could take it to the house. Morgan past the 30, the 20, inside the 10, and Morgan walks.
And yeah, that's Morgan on a big 72-yard touchdown run as Jackson State, they raced out to a 27-0 lead. And after Texas Southern kind of put a little bit of dent in that lead, they cut it to 27-14. That touchdown run that you just saw, that was pretty much the final nail in the coffin. 43-14, Jackson State gets it done on the road. Jackson State 1-0 in the SWAC. Next week, headed down to Mobile to take on my boys, Alabama A&M Gulf Coast Challenge. Texas Southern, they fall to 1-1 in the SWAC, but they'll still be heard from. Next game. It was the State Fair Classic. And what a classic it was. This game went into 5 overtimes. As you can see, Prairie View, they pulled this one out 36-34. The way it happened, Prairie View, They trailed 17-7 at halftime. Again, people thought, well, maybe this could be another night that Prairie View goes down 0-3 in the SWAC. But they battled back. They forced the tie. They went into overtime 24-24. Grambling, they scored first. Prairie View matched them. Then it was 31-31. And then both teams kicked field goals. And then after 2 scoreless overtime periods, here was your game winner.
One play to score. Prairie View trying desperately to get their first win in the division. McDowell in the backfield. Here is the play. McDowell.
Yes.
Goes in. Touchdown. 2-point conversion is good. And Prairie View wins it in the 5th overtime. 36-34 the final. What a game this was.
And there you saw it. 5th overtime, McDowell from 1 yard out to win it. Now in this game, Grambling, we know that they were on a turnover fest. They had turned over their previous opponents. They got 6 against Texas A&M Commerce and 5 last week against Jackson State. Well, this week, Prairie View didn't turn it over once. In fact, winning the turnover battle. And Crawley, he made a valiant effort in this game, throwing for 286 yards and 2 touchdowns. But this is a game that Grambling, if they don't win the West this year, this is one that they surely will look back at. We'll talk a little bit more about this game later, as I'm joined by my boy Nick Eden. What's up, my boy?
What's going on, man? How you been?
Hey, man, we doing good, man. We're going to keep rolling through the games. Here we go. Delaware State.
Sir.
As we get into the MEAC. Oh, man, this game, I thought Delaware State had this one on the road down there in Bowie's Creek. They had to lead 41-37, and then Chad Masco to Sincere Brown, 2-yard touchdown, 42 seconds left to pull out a 44-41 win and stop the Hornets from getting another big win on their ledger. But in this game, Marquis Adams, guy to watch, 252 yards passing. And then Jaden Sutton, 20 rushes, 198 yards on the ground. Not to be outdone. But just not enough defense in the end for the Hornets as they fall on the road. And then Circle City Classic. It was a lopsided classic at that. You had the Central Eagles from North Carolina taking on, it was not behold the green and gold. It was more like behold the green and fold. It was 37-10. It was all Central all the time in Lucas Oil Stadium. 454 yards of total offense. Mr. Walker Harris. Welcome back, Mr. Walker Harris. 4 touchdown passes. 2 of those to Markel Quick. And then you look at, oh my gosh, man, I feel for my boy Dawson Odoms, man. They only got 12 first downs in the game, and they only threw for 85 yards. It was a complete struggle. And on the season now, they start the MEAC play 0-1. And in a season that it seems like Mr. Dawson Odoms needs more wins to be able to justify getting another year, this is not the start you want. And then we move on. Oh, look at South Carolina State, man. Shout out to Chinnis Berry and those boys. They snap a long losing streak. A long losing streak to North Carolina A&T. Tearing them up in the second half, 45-25. Eric Phoenix, 367 yards passing. And you saw they rolled up 521 yards of total offense, getting the job done. And then we round out the MEAC with Howard. Went to Princeton. They fell 30-13. Better days could be coming ahead for the defending MEAC champs. We'll see. Morgan State completely shut down on the road at Stony Brook, going down 22-3. And that is the initial recap of our games. But I want to go back and take my boy back to his game down there in Daytona Beach, Florida, as I pull it back up again. Alabama State getting it done 26-21. Brother, take the wheel. Talk about it.
So, the first thing I want to say about it is I told y'all on Friday's show, everybody, we're at a point now where, and I get it, don't get me wrong, When it comes to Bama State, it's obvious. You see that we're deficient in the quarterback space. I think that this is a beautiful mistake because it does play a little bit more towards Coach E-Rob's mentality. He's a defense first guy. This is why, D. Davis was kind of stunted in terms of his ability to throw. This is the same issues that came up with Damon Stewart. Obviously, you have somebody like Andrew Body, who is a dual threat. But I think that with Sims, this played it. Now, of course, you don't want to go through 3 other quarterbacks in 4 games to get to that point. But I think he plays into E-Rob's style a little bit more, where let's just hit the run game. Defense is going to make turnovers. Special teams is going to make points. And the quarterback is almost kind of an accent to the whole team instead of we all love our quarterbacks. They make great plays. They make great highlights and everything. But I think the reason that this worked is because, BCU, as much talent as they have right now, they're just not in the best shape as a team quite yet. Even though we've seen some great offensive plays from them, it was a bit different. You're going up against a defense like Alabama State. Now, I will say this because people are going to talk about the final score. You have to watch the game. Bama State dominated BCU on the run game up until that last drive that BCU had where they scored, and then Gates fumbled the ball on the return. And that is how they got that 14 points in 74 seconds. But when you consider the fact that we actually this was the first 300-plus running game that we've had since the Magic City Classic in 2017. And I think it was 391 rush yards. I've never seen, let me just say this much. I've never seen so many FAMU fans going for Bethune-Cookman in the game. And I know FAMU is going to be a completely different beast. But for everybody who said that Sims is not going to play well because he's a freshman quarterback on the road, you're playing the 4th-string quarterback, I think, again, he fits into the ideology that E-Rob has for the team. And because of that, it worked in Daytona. And I think it's going to work. I think it's going to work in Montgomery too.
All right. Well, we'll definitely get a chance to preview that game coming up here in a bit. Now let's move to the next one. So here it was, Alcorn last night. There were some people who kind of thought that Valley might have a chance in this one. They thought that they might ride the wave of emotion with their brand new field and their brand new scoreboard. But Alcorn said, nah, we just want to remind you that we are not trying to let you add to the struggles that we've had so far. So your thoughts on this one, my brother?
I think what is new for Valley actually stunted them before. And anybody who's gone to play in Valley before knows that's a hard field to play on. Everybody has struggled with Valley playing on that old field. Even FAMU, when they were on their tear last year, they struggled with Valley. And now you've eliminated that. And now you've got this turf that people feel pretty comfortable on, and you see the result. Like, it was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. And I think that Valley is still missing that dancing magic that they had a couple of years back. But when you took away the field that they were used to playing on and nobody else, got some hard grass. I don't know if y'all.
We lost on there. I know.
Yeah, it's that's some hard grass that they are used to playing on. And despite the record, they are a physical team. So now with them not having that, and playing on some nice, good turf that people can kind of move around on, I think that kind of helped them lose the advantage that they've had playing at home for years.
Yeah, I feel that. And, man, I knew that Alcorn, even though they had their struggles with the passing game and all those different things, I knew that somehow they were going to find a way to get it done. And forcing a bunch of turnovers will definitely do it for you. I want to get my boy in here real quick, Lionel. What's up, Lionel?
No, he feeling good.
Look at this boy. Look at this boy smiling. Go ahead, take yourself off mute, man. We can't hear anything you saying, man. Everything is all, he can't even hear you. But I see him smiling because he wanted to. Go ahead, man. Talk. Can we hear you? Can we get you? We got you. He all froze up. All right, we'll get him. We'll get him back
again.
Yeah, we'll get him back. We'll get him back. All right, so let's move on, man. All right, the game in Houston. So, man, again, another one of those trendy picks that people had. Now, I had a feeling that Jackson State, with their defensive line, was going to be able to control the line of scrimmage in this game. Everybody knew that Texas Southern kind of really has been one-dimensional with their offense. It's been running, and more running. And then there would be situational on defense. And in this game, Jackson State shut them down in their rushing attack, and they really couldn't get anything going. They rushed out to a 27-0 lead. Jacoby Morgan, he was great in this game. But, as for Jackson State, they've got greener pastures ahead. Now, we take them on next week. I'll talk a little bit about that up later, but, give me your thoughts on Jackson State, man, where you think they are.
Well, I've been saying it in the quad for the last 2 weeks. Right now, the SWAC East is looking like FAMU or JSU. Even if you take the Grambling game from last week, it's still looking like FAMU or JSU, period. Unfortunately, Texas Southern's defense is not good enough to just rely on a run offense to go against somebody like Jackson State, because you're not going to be able to put the points on the way that they are, especially once they get going. And once Morgan got going, it was a wrap after that. I'm not saying that Texas Southern's season is done, but this definitely, I didn't see any scenario where they beat Jackson State. It just wasn't any. And honestly, I have not seen the rest of their schedule, but I know right now the West is pretty competitive, a lot more competitive than people thought it would be. And it always ends up in a toss-up. I just don't think that they'll be at the top of the heap when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Now, Texas Southern next week, they take on Virginia Lynchburg. So that's the right team to take on when you need a bounce back. And in this game,
I want folks to stop playing VUL. Look me in the eye right now. I want y'all to stop scheduling VUL, please. My God, I'd rather y'all schedule Bishop Sycamore or something, because this is crazy.
Yeah, they're gonna beat them by 50 at least. All right, so here it looks like we got Lionel back. All right, Lionel. All right, talk to us.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Talk to us, brother. This is your moment.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen. It was a really interesting game. A game of two halves.
Oh man, wherever you were, where you were standing before, it was perfect.
Right. Stop walking around.
Really shutting Grambling down in the second half, obviously into that last drive. Game went obviously. Can you hear me?
We got you now. Stay right where you at and go ahead. Go ahead, man. Talk it.
Yeah, I was just saying. I think it was a tale of two halves, man. Grambling came out, gave the first couple blows right in the first quarter, second quarter, got up 17-7 at halftime. They really were moving the ball really well. And then the second half, man, I think third and obviously throughout the early part of the fourth quarter, our defense really just stepped up. And Grambling couldn't move the ball on the ground. And we kept getting them off the field on third downs and gave us a chance to get back in the game. Obviously, we got up 24-17. I hate how that last drive went. That's something that, we continue to harp on, is that this team continues to not finish games, right? You know what I'm saying? Not just go ahead and complete the game and get it over with, right? But allows teams to stand around. Saw it happen the last 2 weeks. But again, the guys showed fight, just like in the Northwestern game. and actually came out with the victory in overtime. So, one thing I was really happy with, right? Not just the defense in the second half, but also, seeing the OC Whedon go to a lot of the short, quick passing game. I think that's really good because we got some guys that's
Yep, you got some guys.
a lot in the passing game as of yet. But so I was happy to see that. And especially, I think Johnson adds another layer. It's going to be interesting to see kind of over this next couple of weeks if they're going to stick with Johnson or if they're going to go back. I know Cooley is going to be healthy and it's coming up soon. But you definitely can see the difference when you got a quarterback that people respect their legs, right? I think in the second half you saw what happened there because having a guy that people don't respect the RPO, it don't help you at all, right? You know what I'm saying? But if you got a guy that they have to respect the RPO, I think that helped with a couple of those runs, on the outside for Wisham that he got. But at the end of the day, man, the offensive line is just looking bad, like period, right? Even on that one that Wisham broke for like 39 yards, if you really go back and look, he dodged like two guys in the backfield. All right, that just is what he just went Superman on one play and then scored a touchdown, right? So it's not like the offensive line has been great. We're averaging less than 3 yards a carry right now. So if that don't get fixed, I mean, it's great that we beat Graham. It's always good to beat Graham. Okay, it's always good to get the belt because we run Dallas. All right, we run Dallas. Our alumni base is bigger than Gramblin's alumni base in Dallas. We carry the State Flag Classic, right? But, hey, listen, we don't get the offensive line fixed, it's going to be trouble, all right? Because we ain't going to be a lot more of these if we don't figure out the offensive line situation. But hey, man, we'll take the win, though.
Hey, man, well, you guys got UIW Incarnate Word next week in San Antonio, and then we'll see you back into SWAC play. Before I let you go, man, a lot of people were talking about that holding penalty. What were your thoughts? And now keep it real. Don't give us the homer answer. Give us your thoughts about that penalty, man.
So, all right. So first of all, let me tell you, I am a New Orleans Saints fan. So can't nobody talk to me about holding penalties. All right. Let's be clear. All right. I know about holding penalties. If somebody want to talk about holding penalties, we can have a whole discourse about a holding penalty, my guy. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of my people in the SWAC, y'all might be Jackson fans. Y'all might be from Alcorn. But listen, y'all also Saints fans. So y'all feel me right now. All right. Listen, we know what a real holding penalty is. But now, at the end of the day, he did tug his arm. So now it's one of them plays where it's really kind of like, did it really impact the play? You know what I'm saying? And that's just really a question that you have to ask, right? I mean, with the play that was run, they may felt like he couldn't get his second hand up to make a play on the ball. Some people could say it's uncatchable. I mean, it's neither here nor there. Because listen, I kind of have a feeling about the last play on 4th and 18, right? So we can talk about that play, but we also can talk about that 4th and 18 shove, right? Because that actually did also impact the game and play as well, right? At the end of the day. So I think there was a couple calls there that you can, because even on that play too, I could probably say, hey man, that might be a holding. Our guy was really getting off on the left tackle that whole second half. If you kind of go running back, it's like, man, he kind of does take him to the ground. So at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? I was mad that they didn't call that penalty. Hey, you got to go pull yourself up right and get the job done. We was able to get the job done. They wasn't. I mean, we all got 3 chances and we wasn't scoring the first 2 times, right? So that's we at the end of the day, neither of us got the job done until that 5th overtime. So I feel like it's one of them ticky-tack calls, man, that it could kind of go either way. But like I said, I think there's other calls in the game that could have been the same. So hopefully that's not a homer answer. I think I was being straight, but
we'll take it, man. But hey, man, yeah. But congrats to you boys, man, and you guys got Incarnate Word next week, and we'll definitely be talking, man. Let you get back to what you was doing, man. Appreciate you for coming on.
I appreciate you, man. Hey, listen, I guess the shirt's gonna be good for another 4-5 weeks right now, apparently. So by the time we having another conversation about my shirts, PV gonna be right in the midst of the SWAC contention. Last time I checked, right? So y'all, as long as we take care of UAPB on Friday, that's a trap game. That Friday game gonna be trouble because UAPB got an offense, right? Let's be clear, they got offense. Now we don't know if they got a defense yet, But let's be clear. They got an offense, right, at UAPB. And they're going to get somebody. I'm hoping it's not us. But if we can get past them, I mean, we got a bye week. We got a homecoming game against Comer. We got a couple weeks when we can sit back and kind of let the chips fall, right? You know what I'm saying? So we might be right there in contention. And I hate it. Like I say, I hate having to worry about somebody else, right? That's my biggest problem with this team over the last couple of years. Stop worrying about other people, okay? But at the end of the day, it is what it is, man. So I appreciate you for having me on, man. Y'all have a good evening.
You too, brother. We'll talk to you.
Take care, bro.
All right. So now, Nick, let me turn your focus to Grambling. Okay. Here's my question for you, man. Does Grambling have a Dooley problem?
Yes. Listen. First off, this is not to take anything away from PV. I know that people are always like discount PV, but if I'm not mistaken, the last 4 seasons they've been to the championship 3 times. Mm-hmm. Now, in fairness, they got the wheat germ beat out of them by FAMU. That just is what it is. Twice on the same field, in the rain, dry, all of it. I get that. But their ability to make it to the championship, you cannot take away from them. That being said, I had real high hopes, and I still have some high hopes for what Grambling is going to do in the West, but they got a Dooley problem. And I don't understand. I said this last night on Twitter. I don't understand how it is that they keep cycling Dooley through the SWAC West. There's something there that's not connecting. And we can talk about what was years ago. Right now, it's not working. It don't matter if he got on a ascot, polo. It's not connecting offensively. And I think the SWAC West in general has got to start looking outside of SWAC territory when it comes to OCs, when it comes to and in fairness, when it comes to QB coaches, we got to start looking outside the conference because this recycling is not working. It's not working for the West, and I mean, it just kind of is what it is. But they definitely got a Dooley problem, and they're gonna keep having a Dooley problem. Like, I'm not saying that he's a bad guy. Obviously, he has a resume. Obviously, something you gotta respect. I think at this point, I really do think there are some SWAC coaches that need to be probably at the D2 or NAIA level right now. Not SIAC, because if they go against Clark Atlanta, it's going to be a wrap. But
right.
Maybe at the, I don't know, man. Something's got to shake, though. But they got to do something about that. I still have faith in Coach Joseph. I'm a little bit disappointed in Miles Crawley right now because he's become, he started off as like, this is the guy in the SWAC. And now he's kind of becoming an afterthought to a team that realistically should be showing the same type of dominance that FAMU was showing last year.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing that I had mentioned when I was on with G swacking the food a couple nights ago, I had said that Grambling, you guys had forced 11 turnovers in the 2 previous games combined. And I said, one thing that you got to watch, you got to be careful that you get on equal terms because you're not going to be able to force that many turnovers every single week. That's just not realistic. Right. And they lost the turnover battle here. And also, it's like when you're not forcing turnovers and you're not getting extra possessions, you're having to drive the field. Now, to their credit, when they needed to make the moves and score when they needed to down the stretch, they did. They tied the game. They got in overtime. They put themselves in a position to win. It's just this is a situation where their defense needed to help them out in overtime. But Prairie View, they were a desperate team, and they still got a long road up to try to get back to the SWAC championship game. They got a little that little light that was dim. It's got a little bit more of a flicker to it. Now they still got to keep winning, and they still need to see some other teams in front of them, kind of falter. But for one night, this is something that gives them some hope moving forward. So.
And this is what's crazy. You got to know before you hop onto it. You got to know what's killing me is I watched that game and I'm like, at the end of it, Crawley still had 286 yards and 2 touchdowns. But it was those turnovers. If it had not been for the turnovers, and you cannot go, I'm sorry, there are certain teams that you are not going to be able to go at, losing a turnover battle and expect to win, or even expect to score that high. It might be a long season for Grambling. They were my pick to come out of the West, I'll be honest, but it might be a long route for them.
Well, coming up next, Prairie View, they go take on Incarnate Word next week out of conference in San Antonio. Grambling, they have a bye week, and then after the bye week, Alcorn comes to the hole. So during this week, they better get some things fixed because they're still all right. I know a lot of people out there, the Grambling fans, this didn't feel good losing, but I will tell you, you still have all your goals in front of you. Regroup, and you can get a win in your next game, and you'll be right back on your path. But yeah. All right, let's head to the MEAC, man. All right, I talked about Delaware State. Now, Delaware State, man, they only won 1 game last year. But these guys have been competing.
Yeah.
And I really, really thought they had this one, man. Really thought they had this one.
Del State this year has made a fan out of me. I'll be honest with you. And it started with them in Hawaii. They are being competitive. Their record does not reflect how hard they actually play. And I think once they get into conference play, it's going to upset a whole bunch of folks. Because I think a whole bunch of folks are taking it for granted. Like they always, when you get to talking about the MEAC, everybody is like Central and Howard. Don't get me wrong, Central is on a tear right now. They really are. And then they'll skip straight to Morgan and talk about the defense, which Morgan State has an amazing defense. But I think that anybody in the MEAC that sleeps on Del State is going to have a rude Saturday night. So y'all might want to pay attention because they are out there playing.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And then we talked about North Carolina Central. So I'll ask you this, man. Do you think that they are the front runners? I know that they were picked to win the MEAC preseason, but do you think that they are definitely the front runners to go back and get back to the Celebration Bowl?
I have a special place in my heart for Howard, and they are the defending champions. Right now in the MEAC, Central is playing like they're the defending champions. Like Central is playing like they are guarding that spot in Atlanta. And I don't think that Howard has quite found his footing yet. I watched it live and in person at OBC. I'll say this much real quick. If Andrew Body doesn't get hurt, I think that game, it was only a 1-possession game. If Andrew Body doesn't get hurt, I think we might have been having a different discussion. But I think the momentum that they took out of the Orange Blossom Classic, when a lot of people had counted them out for losing it, they have been on an absolute rampage. And I don't see anybody in the MEAC right now, with the exception of Chinnis and the Dogs. I don't see anybody in the MEAC anybody that's winning is going to be close. That's just my personal opinion. I don't see anybody dominating them. But they're playing like they're the defending champions. It almost makes you forget it almost makes it unrealistic for that 50-piece that Howard put on them last year. And they're playing like last year didn't exist. They're playing like this was a year before.
Yeah, and I'll say, man, if the Walker Harris, if he's going to play like he did yesterday, if he's going to be very consistent in the passing game like that, and then they get Jamari Taylor going in that running game, and then with the mix of that defense, Yeah, I think that this team can definitely be the one. Now, we move ahead here. You talked about South Carolina State, and yeah, they put it on North Carolina A&T yesterday. Like North Carolina A&T, I know everybody, about their, the history that they had, when they had won some celebration bowls and things like that. Well, this is not them. They are far from that. And 521 yards of offense. And I'm talking to some North Carolina A&T grads, and a lot of them, they said that, look, man, shout out to Vincent Brown. They said he's not the guy. Now, and it's sad that they're saying that, and it's only a year, not even a year and a half into his tenure. But they're saying it is quite obvious he is not the guy.
No. So A&T is going to need a complete overhaul. You don't, come on. You don't, as a program, fall from grace in the way that they have. I think most of them still do not want to admit that the CAA was a bad move. And they'll start throwing out every other sport except for the one that drives revenue. But it was just a bad move. It was a bad move. And now you have a coach that is not in position for that move. Hell, where's Jay Hobson? Go. Somebody go find Jay Hobson. But I'll tell you this much. And this may be an unpopular opinion. You get Fred McNair at A&T, you might get the glory days back.
Okay.
I mean that. You get Fred McNair and give him the money to go out and recruit. He's already got the Texas ties, he's got Florida ties, and you give him the Carolinas to recruit, you might see the A&T old. But it's not Coach Brown. It's just not.
Yeah. And like on the other side, Chennis Berry, I was impressed when I saw them play at FAMU. Now, I really thought that they were going that they really should have won that game at FAMU. But they've been pretty impressive. And he looks like he's starting to get his footing. What do you think about Chennis and the job he's doing? What do you think their prospects are moving ahead?
I think Chennis is going to build a dynasty. I think that, Buddy Pugh was very intentional about how they moved. And I think that anybody could look at Benedict and see Chennis was special. The same way anybody looked at Allen and saw that Teddy Keaton was special. And now you see it. Chennis just has an opportunity to prove it on a D1 level. He brought a lot of his guys with him, which I think at this point, we need to let's just dead the conversation. Yeah, there's still a gap between Division I and Division II football in the HBC landscape, but it's not as big as everybody makes it out to be. And I think that Chennis Berry has proven that. And I think that even though I don't want Keaton to go, I want Keaton to stay at CAU and build a legacy there. But I do know it's some folks in the SWAC that's looking. There's some folks in the SWAC that's looking at him. And I think that Chennis kind of set the tone for more recently for how people are looking at those D2 coaches and where, because I can see Sean Gibbs moving up. They tried with FAMU.
Yeah, right? They did. They
tried with FAMU. Mm-hmm. I can see him moving up. I can see it's a lot of Coach Rome at Florida Memorial. I can see him moving out of NAIA. And I think that you got to give a lot of that credit to Chennis Berry. And I think what he's going to do I think it's going to be this year? Absolutely not. I think that South Carolina State's going to put up an amazing performance against Central, and they're going to put everybody in the MEAC on notice. And it's like Mr. Ford said on Timona's show, beat him now.
Yep.
Beat him now. Because from my understanding, South Carolina State is all in on Chennis. They don't coach hop the way a lot of other schools do. They don't do that. So they're all in on Chennis Berry, and he's proven very early on that he's going to be the guy for however long he chooses to be there. And I think they'll give him the resources. I think they'll give the right recruitment. And I think when we sit down and have this discussion a year from now, we're gonna be looking at some different top dogs in the MEAC. So
yeah, I feel that. I definitely feel that. And he got some comments here. He said Fred McNair gonna have the same issue. He said they got to get out of the CAA. Well, hey.
Oh, no. Hitman, I 100% agree with you on that. I 100% agree. I know that they get tired of people saying y'all need to go back to the MEAC. Y'all need to go back to the MEAC. Okay, is the business right? Maybe not. From what I understand, the business in the CAA ain't exactly right either. But what I do know is if they stay in the CAA and they just will not get out of their own way with that, they're going to mess up their entire athletics program. Because again, the revenue driver is the one that suffered with the move. We can talk about track. I'll talk track all day. We got 39 SWAC championships at Bama State. I love talking about track. But
yeah, me too.
Yeah, right. Thanks. Exactly. But when it comes to the revenue driver, ain't nobody think about bowling. Ain't nobody think about softball. Ain't nobody think about baseball. And for a large part of it, not basketball. Your revenue driver is suffering the most since the move, and they're going to have to get out their own way, swallow their pride, and say, hey, look, this didn't work out. We want to come back. Y'all got to get some business stuff right, which I 100% agree with. But this ain't working out for us, and their fan base wants it. Like their fan base wants it. So why they got to let that? They got to let that go. But I agree. Fred would have the same issue being in the CAA, but shoot them boys back to the MEAC and build a strong conference. You got the leverage now. They need the teams.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Sitting up there playing a 5-game conference schedule, man, that's crazy. But so before we get into talking about next week's games, I want to hand out the ride tokens. So these are the ride tokens for this past week. So Mr. Walker Harris, for throwing 19 for 25, 245 yards and 4 touchdowns, you get one of my ride tokens. Jacoby and Morgan, you get another ride token. That 72-yard touchdown run, that was pretty electric, man. That was pretty nice. 4 total touchdowns, a lot of yards put up. Definitely something that my team got to take a look at big time this week. On defense, there were a lot of candidates, but in that game, I went with Ashad Hall from South Carolina State. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. And then my team token goes to South Carolina State. They put up 521 yards of offense, man. There's nothing more needs to be said about that one. And my special team guy, Nick, you know this guy, Mr. Brandon Gilliam of Alabama State. 4 out of 5 field goals. His only miss was a 53-yarder. So these are the ride tokens for this week, man. Talk about them.
Hey, listen, Walker Harris, that kid is something special. He just is. There's no way around it. I think he is going to be not the only reason that Central makes it back, but he is going to be a very strong determining factor. Obviously, Jacoby and Morgan, one of my favorite players in the SWAC. Explosive, got a good head on the shoulder. Now, in fairness, I'll be honest with you. I am not fully versed in South Carolina State's team because I am so SWAC that sometimes I can't get out of my own bubble. But again, you can't help but look across the way and see what they're doing. So I definitely agree with those tokens. And of course, listen, we were struggling in special teams for a very, very long time. I can't help but think back to the year before last when we played FAMU in Montgomery, and that game literally came down to a field goal that had it not been blocked and FAMU ran it down for a touchdown, we would have been the second SWAC team to take FAMU down. And so when I look at somebody like Brandon, all I can think is This kid, his accuracy is crazy. His accuracy is crazy. I think he gives credit to our recruiting because the mark of a good recruitment program is when you can look at your deficiencies based on the program that you envision for yourself. When you can look at your deficiencies and go out and get that. And that's what we did. And I think he is going to be the difference maker. I said I'll take 30 field goals before I take y'all not get anything on there. So I say keep kid busy.
Yeah, man. All right. Now let's get into next week, man. Week 6 schedule. Here are the SWAC games. All right. So your boys, homecoming against FAMU, ESPN Plus 3 Eastern, 2 p.m. down there in Alabama. Talk about it.
I'll be in the building. And I've said this the week before last on the show. I want folks to walk into Montgomery thinking it's going to be a cakewalk. That's what I want. I'm not even going to give my prediction on the score. I really do want them to come in thinking we got this. Because now I will say this. There are a lot of implications with this game. One, this is going to be the all-time record breaker between FAMU and Alabama State. Right now, we are 20-20-2. This is going to be the all-time record breaker. Again, that last time, they escaped. They survived Bama State. They did not beat Bama State. They survived Bama State the last time they were in Montgomery at the stadium. I've said it time and time again. You know, people keep asking me, do I think that Bama State still has a shot at the SWAC East and the SWAC Championship? I'll say it like this. We're in week 4. We're going into week 5. We're going into week 6. Everybody still has a shot. Everybody still has a shot. I think there are things that I'm a realistic fan. I think there's a lot of stuff that we got to fix, but I think the advantage that we have is that 9 of the 3 games that we play this year are in the state of Alabama. You cannot deny that. There's championship implications between that game, the FAMU game, and while we playing, because we ain't gonna act like y'all offense is sorry at A&M, and the Magic City Classic. Like Alabama, the state of Alabama could very well decide who is the SWAC champion this year. So I think it has those kind of implications. It's got the all-time record implications. I'm gonna be there, and I want them to take the Hornets for granted.
Yeah, and you know, FAMU, they didn't play this week. And I hope everybody that was in that's down there in the southern part of the country, hope that everybody's recovering well and things like that. And I know they didn't play this week, but we know every time you guys get on the field against them, with the exception of the first one when FAMU joined the conference. We remember that one.
No,
27-3.
They beat the hell out of us. That was
27-3.
Yeah.
But then it was 17-14, and then last year was 23-13 in Tallahassee. Now that game, right. 23-13, that was some of the best defense that any team played against FAMU the entire season. Now you guys just didn't have enough offense to be able to push it over the finish line. But I kind of see the game coming in the mode of the one that was last year in Tallahassee. Now, I said it before, you guys cannot be afraid to win games ugly. You know, but on the offensive side this week, I think you're going to need a little bit more out of the passing game. You know, but we will see, sure. Man. We will definitely see, but it's big game. Go ahead.
You also got to take into account because I think a lot of people discounted FAMU going into this season, and really on a lot of the preseason picks, they discounted because it's like, okay, Willie's gone, Jeremy Moose is gone, Daniel Richardson is a beast. Like, it's just no way around that. That boy is a beast. He put the team on his back. They got something to prove. So whether they're in Bragg or they're in somebody else's stadium, they are going to prove something. And they were competitive with Troy. They were competitive with Miami, as competitive as you can be in those situations. So coming into, and I really was, you know, I'm glad everybody's safe. I really was looking forward to the game between them and y'all yesterday because I thought that a lot of people automatically put that as a loss for A&M. I didn't. I was not one of the people who did that. And now I'm going to say this much. If people can go ahead and clock it now. With that game being moved to the 29th, I see even more of a possibility of A&M beating FAMU in that game, having that time to gel, and having that time to get themselves together, even if it's just as a trap game, pissing them off enough to where it's just like, oh, you think this is an easy win? No. So, but I think FAMU got a lot of steam coming into it. They are coming off those 2 losses, but I think they're still a dynamic team, and they're the defending champions right now. So.
Yeah, and this is big for them because it's their opener in the SWAC. And for you guys, this is big for you guys because if you can put a loss on them, this will be something. Now you guys got bigger games ahead just like they do, but this is big early in the schedule. And then you look at Pine Bluff going down there on the reservation. That'll be the HBCU game out of the SWAC. Alcorn struggling on offense. All right. UAPB, it's kind of funny to say that UAPB actually has been scoring this year. Now, they're still undersized on defense, and they still have depth issues. But do you see that this could potentially be a trap game for those, as G likes to say, those big bad Braves?
No. I don't think it's a trap game. Here's the reason why. Yeah, UAPB has been putting up points, but who have they been putting up points against?
Arkansas Baptist, and then garbage time against Tennessee State. And then
now, the Tennessee State game was, but I will also say this ain't the same Tennessee State from last year. I think it's home games are always difficult. When you're on the road and you're going to play in somebody's house, it's always difficult. There are a few games, even when you look at for everything that we did with Bethune yesterday, it was still a 5-point game. Playing in somebody's home turf and when you're going down to the reservation, and Alcorn was predicted to be number 1 out the West, they also got a chip on their shoulder. I don't think this is a trap game. I don't think it's the highest scoring game, but I do think that Alcorn is going to take it. I think it'll be a 1-possession game.
Okay.
But I don't think it'll be a last-minute 1-possession game. I think it'll be maybe top of the 4th is when Alcorn pulls away, and it just maintains that way to the rest of the game.
All right. And one game that will not be a 1-possession game is Lynchburg going down there to play Texas Southern. Oh, goodness. Whew. It's going to be scary.
Madden on easy.
Right. It's going to be scary. Going to be real scary. Make sure everybody on the roster down there in Texas Southern, y'all get good and stretched and make sure because everybody going to get some playing time.
Man, listen, it's a damn shame what they did in the Dragons.
Man, there ain't no fire in them Dragons. But and then you got our game, man. Oh man, I tell you what, man. I was very candid on our show From the Hill podcast, and I was also very candid about when I was on with G, and I said it. I was like, "Had we played yesterday, we wouldn't have beaten that team down there in Tallahassee. Don't even try it." I'm realistic about it. I don't have any good feelings about playing Jackson State. You know, the Jackson State that showed up in Houston yesterday, if that version shows up in Mobile, I don't know that we can compete with that team. But having a week off, let's see. I just want us to be in this frame of mind, Nick Eden. I want one quarterback. I want to play the quarterback. Let's stick with the quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's just get our best 22 against their best 22, and let's line up and let's see what happens. I don't want no more of this musical chairs at quarterback. And that's where I'm going to leave it at that. You go for it.
I think we are I think we're both on the same page with that. It burns me up to no end. And listen, I'm not a Division I football coach. So I'm not sitting here saying it like I can go up there and do any better. But I know it is burning me up. Can we get one quarterback? And because as physical, especially with this game for y'all, as physical as Jackson State is, do you really want to take the chance at two quarterbacks getting hurt?
Facts.
Because all you got to do is look at us in the OBC. Do you really want to play a team that physical, running two quarterbacks? You know, so I think that y'all have got it together a little bit more on offense than we do. I don't know that your defense is going to be able to withstand the Jackson State we saw yesterday.
Right.
And I think that's going to be the difference maker because they can put it on the board on both sides. So for me, while I do think that it won't be as lopsided as it was against Texas Southern, I do have Jackson State taking this one.
Yeah, and I agree with you, man. I mean, their defensive line has been so stout. And then also, you know, their corners, you know, Guthrie. I mean, those guys, they've been playing. Guthrie had an interception yesterday. Yeah, I know she loves D. I know. Yeah, I know. Hopefully we do something where folks can stop calling us that. But then again, people call us that anyway. And she calling you out, Jay White.
At least you don't get called bees.
Yeah, and then you got the two non-conference games, Southland opponents. You know, Prairie View going down there, the Incarnate Word. Yeah, just be healthy. I don't think you're gonna beat the Incarnate Word. And then Nichols coming in the Southern. Man, last time we saw Nichols, it was 66-0 over Valley. You know, Southern, they had off yesterday. You know, they were riding high after beating Prairie View. This is a game where you just say, hey, listen, let's just develop some confidence. Let's get some guys in. Let's see what we got because they're going to dip their toes back into the SWAC pool the following week.
So let me go ahead and say this. You know, my cousin is the AD at Nichols. And I've been waiting on a text all week because I know he is licking his chops to get us. I just really want the boys to stay up. And I don't know what, you know, he's from Slidell. So I don't know what to do, but I know he's licking his chops for the boys to get at Southern. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Stay healthy, y'all.
Yeah.
Stay healthy. Yeah,
stay healthy, my friends. And then you got the MEAC schedule again. Here's some more non-conference games. You got St. Francis, PA going to take on Delaware State. Lincoln Lions, D2 HBCU going to take on Morgan State Bears. You got the Green and Gold going to take on Sacred Heart. Bulldogs, this is an interesting game. South Carolina State going to take on Tennessee Tech out there in Cookeville, Tennessee. And then you got Central making the road trip down the state, or should I say up the state, to go take on Campbell Fighting Camels. So that's your week 6 schedule there in the MEAC. And, you know, MEAC, they're going to be full bore on conference play starting next week. Next week. So, but yeah, man. So that's what we have for all of the games and all the action and, you know, previewing week 6. So my man, host of In the Quad. So, I know you're going to be talking a lot of stuff about homecoming this week. I know you're going to be talking a lot about, you know, Alabama State culture, Alabama State style, all that, man. So, you know, man, you know, to talk about, man, what do you think folks can come to expect in the city of Montgomery this week?
It's going to be a lot of parties. It's going to be a lot of parties. It's going to be a lot of entertainment at the game, outside of the game. We always have a good time whenever FAMU comes into town. You know, Jackson State and FAMU have that heated rivalry. FAMU and Bama State, you know, we go all the way back to our D2 days. So, you know, we always have a fun time. I always have a fun time with my Rattler cousins. So, y'all can just expect to have, good time, good drinks. We got the Woodford Reserve Special Blend that's going to be delivered next week. So y'all make sure y'all caught that. I haven't even looked at the chat yet because I know they're down there talking mess.
Yeah, he said, tell us about the food. That's what he said. Tell us about the food.
Oh, man, let me tell you something. Tailgate is off the chain. Look, I took my ex-girlfriend a couple of years ago. She was my then girlfriend. I took her to our first HBCU homecoming. She never eats anybody else's food. For 2 years, all she's been talking about is, I wish I would have gone to an HBCU. The food's going to be like that. Q's going to be making some chicken. You got to be careful because right outside the campus, you got the Hebrew Israelites. So they're going to, you might confuse them for the Q's. So they'll give you a pamphlet and yell at you for a little bit. But yeah, everybody, look, tailgating is going to be crazy. So the food is going to be off the chain. Within ASU Stadium, you also have the Nest, which is our club. So the food is off the chain in the Nest as well. So yeah, it's just going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a big reunion. We're never scared of competition for homecoming. So, hey, we're down there and have a good time. And I'm talking about it this week. I think I might do a giveaway. I was thinking about that earlier. I think I might do a giveaway. There's a party that we have that kicks off homecoming done by Bama State Society. It's called Off the Record. And I might actually do them. Tickets are $65, but I might actually do it. I might actually do a giveaway at some point this week. So y'all got to make sure y'all tune into HBCU Plus for In the Quad with Nick Eden, 1 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.
Oh, that's real good. And you know what, man? I'm gonna get us out of here tonight on this one. You just brought up something that just really sparked my thoughts. Now I know we talk about revenue, we talk about ticket prices, we talk about a lot of these different things. I did in my short form podcast, my 10 minutes. Week before last, I talked about how at Tennessee, they're starting to charge a talent fee. And that is helping them, as what they say, is helping them to pay for NIL. And also, the scholarship limit is raising from 85 players on scholarships up to 105 players on scholarship. At the FBS level. Now, for those that are scoring at home, FCS has been at 63 scholarships, and it is not moving from 63 scholarships. So now you're going from a 22 scholarship deficit to a 42 scholarship deficit. There's more money that these schools are raising. Like I said, at Tennessee, their lowest season ticket is $453 to sit at the rack of the rack. Basically, you can see the waves of the Tennessee River. That's how high up you are at Neyland Stadium. But Nick Eden, I know a lot of times we talk about finances and people giving and also ticket prices. I know some people, they've said like, paying $50 for a ticket at an HBCU game. A lot of people complain about that. But when you think about it, it's like, hey, you're talking about you want to improve facilities. You want to be able to bring in bigger and better players because it's going to take that. All these things that we complain about, but a lot of this stuff starts with money. So I feel like here on the last part of the ride tonight, I feel like this is a good place to talk and have this discussion. And those that are watching, make sure you hit that like button and you can chime in on this too. But oh yeah, Veronica Hill, you're right. Yeah, and coaches too. Absolutely. Add that to the pot. Nick Eden, I want your thoughts though on all this that I said, and just give it to us, man, according to Nick Eden.
If we plan on competing, you have to. We raised our tailgate prices by about, I want to say about $300 or $400 this year. Nobody missed a beat. We partnered with Woodford Reserve to do a special blend whiskey bourbon that sold for $220 a bottle, and we sold out of that. They only made 150 bottles, and we sold out of that in 3 days. Y'all want y'all school to look good when you come back and visit for homecoming. You want your kids to consider going there. You want that star athlete from the high school in your area to consider going to your alma mater. This stuff has to happen, because this is what I do know. Folks will come to homecoming and they will pay X amount of dollars, $50, $60 for parking at a club that same night. Mm-hmm. Another $50, $60 to get in. You're going to buy some drinks. And depending on how you get down, you might buy some other things. But you're going to spend $200 just to get into that club. But then you're going to complain about a $50 ticket to the game. And this is why when I was on From the Hill, I talked about the same thing. I wasn't mad at A&M for saying, hey, look, we need to get our worth. But the other part of that, alums, fans, supporters, y'all got to show up. You have to fund this type of stuff. Wayne, we both went to school in the state of Alabama. How many times did you see folks that graduated from our alma maters with all this Auburn stuff on and all this Alabama stuff on, but they got 3 good A&M shirts, 3 good Bama State shirts?
Yep.
You at a certain point, somebody has to say, we have to do our part too. Now, I do think that when you give someone something to purchase, you give something that they're interested in, because I get to giving emails and all that other stuff, but when you give people something, an incentive to actually buy, they will show up and buy. But I've seen us waste way too much money on homecoming weekend. Like I said, you got the parking, you got the club. Some of y'all went and ordered some Blue Chew and some Royal Honey before y'all got into town. Y'all got this stuff in here that y'all were willing to pay for. All I'm saying is divert some of that same attention to the school.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, man. Veronica, you're right. Yes, it's a must to go up. People have no idea what it takes to recruit kids and keep them. And yeah, Alvin Moore preached. People spend money what they want to spend money on. We'll spend thousands for a Beyonce concert. But won't give money to the alma mater. You're right. And here's another one. Just giving kids a starting position is just not enough to keep them. They want NIL as a true freshman and now and no film. You're right. And and the thing about it is that I've said a couple times is that when people come to homecoming, you give everything in the city money except for your school. A lot of people do that. And I know I've said that at a lot of places where, they won't even go in the game. They'll be at the tailgate the whole time. And sometimes they're eating food that somebody else made and paid for, drinking liquor that somebody else brought. So it's like you giving the city hotel money. You've given airlines, if you fly down there, you flew, so you paid them, and when it comes down to it, it's like, hey, we have to get out of the mindset of it's somebody else's responsibility to fund what it is that we complain about. Because and people always say it. Well, we need to get this. We need to get that. We should do this. We should do that. We should have that. A lot of opinions, but you have to put your money where your mouth is. And for myself, I live in Ohio, and I go down and I attend one football game a year, and it's not homecoming. I actually go to a game that's not homecoming. Well, one of the big reasons why I'm able to only go to one game is because those of you that know me, I'm a cross country and track official. This is cross country season, but I still go down there. I spend my money. I also give every single Friday to our athletics department on auto debit. So it's one of these things that when we look to try to compete, and one other thing I'll throw out there, Nick, that's probably near and dear to your heart that people complain about, and we know we see it every single year. People complain about us playing money games. And people say, we're running our guys out here for a check. But what folks don't understand is that money that's generated from that game and also the games that are played in basketball non-conference, this stuff balances budgets. This stuff allows you to get some extra things done. This stuff allows you to make some purchases that you generally wouldn't otherwise be able to. So until our finances and our departments are able to self-sustain themselves, we as HBCU grads and supporters, we need to continue to do our part. And also, you continue to just help out with the university, because just maybe, you might be able to draw in some bigger donors that didn't even have any affiliation to the school to just say, you know what? I love what y'all doing down there in Alabama State. I love what y'all doing over there at Grambling. I like what y'all doing down there at Florida A&M and all these different places. And they may come and they say, you know what? I'm going to write a nice sizable check to your school. But the mindset, Nick Eden, is that we have to have the mindset that we are willing to work and willing to support. And so,
and speaking of revenue, let me just go ahead and say this now. Why you ain't on HBCU Plus?
Why am I not?
Man, let me tell you something. I think yes, man. Look, I was talking about this. I have a portion of the show called Fam Topics, and these are the user-generated questions that people submit. And one of the questions is about, well, what do you think is the best show in sports? And I said I'm biased. I'm biased because y'all are all my peers and my colleagues, and so I have a bias to it. But I did say what you do here and what you do on From the Hill, I think is some of the most well-produced HBCU content in the space. And when I think of well-produced, I'm a visual guy, I'm a graphic designer. So I always think of what could be in the next spot after Undisputed or First Take or, a show like that. And it's right there, man. I gotta make some calls, man. We got to do something, because you got something special going here, man. And I appreciate all that you do. That's why I put that out there. So.
Hey, man. Hey, I definitely appreciate the love on that, man, for sure. And man, it's a special shout out to my group from the Hill podcast. Shout out to Tenarius Gooden and David Thomas and Jennifer Murray and DT Green and Corey Williams. That group, we all work together, man, and we all participate. It's like finding people to come on your show and doing graphics. But for this show, I'm self-driven on this show. This is a platform that I decided to step out for because, I have a lot of sports information in this noggin of mine. And I love to do these kind of talks, man. So, we just getting started and we doing some big things. But speaking of From the Hill podcast, real quick, here's what we got coming up on our show on Tuesday. Coming up on the next episode of From the Hill podcast, JSU alum and She Loves Thee podcast host, Tamona Stapleton. Vice President of Student Affairs for Alabama A&M, Dr. Brock Talley. Plus, A&M alum Anthony P.J. Thompson will join us to talk about homecoming festivities. Won't you join us live Tuesday, October 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. It's fun. It's you. It's us. It's From the Hill podcast. Yeah, and that's our show coming up on Tuesday night. Shout out to She Loves Thee, Tamona Stapleton, man. It's really, me and her, we've been doing some work together. So, it's a pleasure to have her on. And, also, me and you, we definitely gonna continue to work together, man. This is gonna become a constant, man. I look,
yes, sir.
Anytime you want me on your show, man, and I'm able to do it, I'll be there for you.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Listen. I've been enjoying the content that you and Timona have been doing, and like I said, man, yeah, of course, no doubt, anytime here, or in the quad, yes, we're gonna definitely do some more stuff, especially as we get closer to Magic City and beyond. For me, what I'm loving right now is I'm seeing a renaissance with HBCU coverage, from a sports standpoint, from a lifestyle standpoint, because I remember how hard it was, like pre-YouTube. If BET didn't do anything on HBCUs, you just didn't see anything, right?
Yep.
And then shout out to the Godfather, Dr. Cavill. For the longest, he was the only one. You know what I mean? So I'm loving the renaissance that we're having right now. Everybody is doing their thing, and it's a lot of HBCU content to consume. So I'm never bored. I'm never out of the loop. I'm always entertained. Now, if y'all could just make sure that y'all don't keep doing it all at one night, I'd be. Yeah, my viewers sneak at work. I had so many people be like, "Oh yeah, I was watching you while I was at work because I had it down low." But y'all like, "Ooh, it's nighttime. Everybody, let's go live right now." So
Yep.
just need y'all to,
you know,
let's coordinate some
somebody
days
gotta.
together.
Yeah, somebody gotta, you know, we got Tuesday nights that we do our show, and then there's somebody's is, you know, they always going live on Wednesday, and you know, I mean, I feel like, man, you know, you get where you can in the space, and you know,
Yeah.
I know with good quality content, man, I'm just excited that we got good quality content out there. And my thing is, man, I'm trying to work with everybody that's doing good quality content. That way we build each other up, you know. So. But my brother, this has been great. And to everybody that's watching, you know, make sure you like the stream, and also, man, hit that subscribe button. And also, man, catch my boy in the quad, man. When's the next show?
Right. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. You can download the HBCU Plus app for free and watch it there. Or you can watch it at hbcu-plus.com. But just download the app, watch it free. It's some great content on there. Wayne talked about Timona, her crew around the block. They come on right before me. They come on at noon Eastern. So it's some great stuff there, man. Great stuff.
That's what's up. Well, I appreciate everybody that tuned in to watch us tonight. And yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back next Sunday night. You know, for another Sunday recap with Wild Wayne and friends. And shout out to my boy Nick Eden. And shout out to y'all. The Ride.